everyone. Welcome to Lives Worth Telling. I'm your host, Jodes, and my podcast is about digging deep into people's stories and providing them with a platform to share their life and their experiences with my listeners. One of the key reasons in creating this podcast is so their families and friends can have a record of their life, their stories, and their voice forever. One of my favourite things is hearing about people's stories, their triumphs, their hardships, but most of all, I love hearing about their resilience. I really hope you enjoy listening to my guests share their lives with you. I want you to have a few laughs and allow yourself to be immersed in their stories. Well, welcome to episode 9 of Lives Worth Telling. Hello to all our new listeners who have come on board recently. In today's episode, we are celebrating a 50th birthday. Today we meet the very charismatic and funny Mandy. Mandy has had some incredible experiences in her life, especially through extensive travel all over the world. Enjoy this entertaining chat I had with Mandy and her beautiful connections she has with her family. I am sure you will have many laughs with us as you listen to this episode. Happy 50th birthday, Mandy. Enjoy. Oh my goodness. Today I'm interviewing someone that I have known since I was about 14 or 13. So I'm going to say welcome to you, Mandy.
Hello,
welcome
Jodes.
to our podcast. Oh my gosh. So we could talk underwater, seriously. We're going to need like a part 2 or something for this one. But you are the first now, the studious person that you are. You've made some notes today, which I've never had anyone study up.
Cheat sheet. I call it a cheat sheet.
She doesn't want to get anything wrong. It's about you. You can't get anything wrong, right? Who's going to fact check that? I don't know. Nadine, Lisa, okay?
Not likely.
Chelsea, Nathan. All right, we're going to start with your background and childhood. So tell me about your family, your parents and siblings. And the crazy house of Crone.
Yeah, the crazy Crone house. So I'm very, very, lucky to have both my parents still. So yes. Dad, Eddie,
yes, he
was born in 1938 in Germany. Wow. So he was, unfortunately for him, he was, toward the end of the war. He was, he used to look out his bedroom window and see planes flying over, dropping bombs on, areas around him. So he had a very, very tough life early in his life, but they fled Germany, him and his 3 younger sisters and the parents, and they lived in a tent in France for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Before they were able to get on a boat in 1950 and come out to Australia as refugees. So he literally arrived in Australia with the clothes on his back with his parents, and they lived in a tent in Albury up near Bonegilla.
Oh, my goodness. For
another couple of years, so family of 6. So he has done it very, very tough. That's my dad, but he's still with us today. He's 86 years old. Oh, love him to death.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
86.
Mum, Kay, she's my everything, absolutely everything. She was born in 1945, so she's turning 80 next year.
Is she really?
So we're already planning
celebrations.
Big celebrations coming up.
Yes.
She is born and bred in Melbourne. Her parents, or her dad, was Australian. Her mum was from Hammersmith in London.
Okay.
So she grew up in West Preston, went to West Preston Girls High School.
Oh, wow.
Moved out to Elstonwick. Yeah, moved out to the eastern suburbs when she was 19 or 20, something like that. I have 2 sisters, both of which you know.
Yes.
Nadine, I'm the middle sister, so Nadine is a couple of years older than me. Nadine, this is the rebel, if you're listening, Nad.
Always She's like been. The middle child syndrome, but you're the middle child, but yeah, you're not. Yeah, that.
Correct. And I have a younger sister, Lisa, who's 2 or 3 years younger than me. So, 3 girls. My poor dad had 3 sisters and then 3 daughters, and all he wanted was a son. So, yeah, that's sort of my family. Early life, when I was born, we lived in Chadstone, what is now the car park of Chadstone.
Yes.
So the house was Mum and Dad paid $11,000 for their half-acre block in Chadstone back then.
Chatty.
Yeah, they got married in 1970.
Okay.
So we lived there for maybe 2 or 3 years in a 2-bedroom place. So when Lisa came along, we moved to Mulgrave.
Yeah.
Mum and Dad moved to Mulgrave. So we were in Mulgrave for pretty much all of primary school.
Yeah.
Grade 6, I went to Shelford.
Yes.
Which is where I met you.
Yes. Best years of your life.
Best years of my life, absolutely. Hanging out at the bus stop in
You were there
Waverley.
grade 6. You moved to grade 6.
Yes. So Nadine had done year 7, I think,
Yeah.
and then an opportunity came up for me to sit a scholarship exam.
Okay.
Which I did in the end of grade 5, and I got the scholarship. So I started there in grade 6. Was
So what primary school did you go to?
Wellington Primary.
Oh,
so just off Wellington Road there in Mulgrave.
Yeah.
Which no longer exists.
I was going to say.
It's now houses.
Housing, yeah.
They're on Shaftesbury Drive.
Yeah.
It's,
Wonder Street.
Yeah, just off Wonder Street. I was at Shelford from year 6 to year 9.
Okay.
At the end of year 9, I changed schools and moved to Carey Grammar.
Yep.
So I was there from year 10 to 12. Wanted to do more business subjects than Shelford was, I found, to be kind of a very science-oriented school.
Yeah.
Just didn't have the same subjects that I wanted to study. So, changed schools, finished year 12 there and,
Oh, my goodness. So I was going to ask about what school was like for you. Did you like school, like primary versus secondary, or?
Primary was fun. I mean, I have great memories of primary school, as in running around with my friends and, monkey bars and that type of stuff. High school different, obviously, because we were up at the crack of dawn, as we were on the bus at 7 a.m.
Yes.
Heading off to Caulfield. So, I didn't dislike high school. Most of my lifelong friends I've made through those first 4 years at Shelford. So I'm still to this day in contact with 20 plus
so good
high school friends. So
yes.
So high school, I didn't dislike it at all. I always found subjects I liked, and I didn't find school too hard. When I changed schools, that was hard, going from an all-girls small school to a co-ed school was difficult because Carey had only implemented girls in the previous 5 years. So when I started at Carey, my first class, and bearing in mind I'd come from an all-girls school, was 2 girls and 28 boys in my first class. So that was a shock to the system.
Whereabouts was it?
In Kew.
Okay.
So Barker's Road, Kew.
Yeah, okay.
So they were implementing girls, and now I believe it's probably 50-50 there now. But that was just a shock to the system. But I enjoyed my time there. I do keep in contact with a couple of friends from there. No one that I see regularly because my lifelong friendships were made from Shelford. So,
yes. Who were those, mate? They're key people.
I know they'll be listening
Hill,
right now. Hilly,
Kylie
Hill, Shane Ackland, who's now a Shane Miller. Who else do I see? Oh, just so many on Facebook.
So nice.
They're the 2 that I see all the time. I'm actually going away with them this weekend.
Oh, you never lost contact?
Never lost contact.
No.
Travelled overseas with them.
Beautiful.
But the whole year level, there's a whole vast array of us that we still keep in contact. So
it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so nice because I guess, changing schools at that point when I guess friendships were established and moving on to year 9, start of year 9.
End of year 9, I left Shelford, started Carey at year 10.
to 12.
Yeah.
Okay. Just going back a couple of steps, what are some memorable outings or trips with your family or holidays? What did they look like then?
We didn't go on a lot of holidays, not for not wanting to go on holidays, but my dad always worked 7 days a week.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because he came from nothing, and even to this day he still works. He works for a charity at the moment, just volunteers because he's not one to sit around.
Yeah.
So my dad always worked 7 days a week because he wanted his kids to have an education that he could never have. He finished school at the age of 12. He came to Australia, did a couple of years of schooling, and it was just a different era then, so get out and work. So he went out and worked.
Yeah.
But because of that, he's always considered himself, uneducated. But he's got through life, and he's a wonderful person.
Yes.
But he wanted better for us, so he always worked 7 days a week. So going back to your question, we did go on holidays, but it might be once a year we'd go on a caravanning holiday somewhere, just for a week or what have you. And but they were always good times. Good times. I do remember one trip.
Who got to sit in the middle?
Oh,
the
I think
window?
we were too busy burning each other with the seatbelt. Those metal seatbelt things. That would be Nadine. So we
Typical.
Typical Nadine.
Beating each other with a seatbelt.
Yeah, the steel seatbelts, and Nadine would be like, get over. So
that's terrific.
That was quite funny, but yeah.
Okay, and Eddie, they're trying to keep it together in the front seat. Kids are...
Which I did to my own kids, but yeah. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I do remember one time caravanning, just within Victoria, Albury, New South Wales.
Yeah.
Nowhere majorly exciting, but we did one trip to Warrnambool. That was really good.
Oh, nice.
Some whale watching. But I remember Nadine always had to have the top bunk. And one trip, middle of the night, boom, she rolled out of the bunk onto the floor, and I was like, there you go. That'll teach her. So we never let her forget that one.
Oh, she wanted the top?
She wanted the top. You're going to pay that price. So we still laugh about that now.
Oh.
So we didn't holiday a lot as, like primary school type stuff, because Dad was just always working.
It wasn't really a thing.
It wasn't really a thing.
People are always on holidays now. Look, I've got kinder children. I reckon, 3/4 of the group are headed overseas this year. Yeah. It's like they're 4 and 5.
My own kids, have travelled more than I ever did probably before I was 30. So, yeah.
Barely got out of the state.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, yeah.
What about family events? Like, what extended family did you guys have?
So I've got on Mum's side. So Mum had one sister, Joan. Okay. She passed away when I was in grade 6. Actually, when I first started Shelford.
Quite a while ago. Then.
Yeah, long time ago. So she has a daughter, Leah, who is my only cousin on that side.
Yes.
We still see her. She's in between. She's just a little bit older than Nadine, so very. Okay. It was almost like she was Mum's fourth daughter, Mum and Dad's fourth daughter.
Oh.
So we still see her a lot. On Dad's side, I have probably all up about 4 or 5 cousins, but like Dad has never been super close to his family, probably, I don't know, in the last 30-odd years. Okay. So since we were little, I do remember his mum and dad briefly as a youngster, but we were never really that involved. And then when his parents passed away, then that was sort of the end of that side of the family.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, I love the thing about the holidays, though. And I'm just thinking too, were there any significant influences in your childhood that you can think of?
As in like people?
Yeah.
Probably just, look, I started playing softball when I was 7 years old, and that became, that was our weekends. That was our, because I started at 7 and played softball right until I was probably 18.
Oh, wow.
And travelled a lot with softball. Actually, going back to your holidays, a lot of them were long, like Australia Day weekend, we'd go to Canberra every year. Okay. So I guess our family holidays were softball related because, I played.
Did all of you play softball?
All 3 of us did play softball. Nadine and Lisa only domestically. I played rep. Okay. So the Canberra trips and the like were with the rep team. So we did a lot of travel, but even when we weren't travelling like that, Saturday, Sunday, 2-3 nights a week training. And when I was 16, I made the state team. So we did even more travelling then.
Jeez.
So we went over to Perth playing
Olympics?
softball.
No.
No, but I went to America playing softball as well.
Not breakdancing though.
No, not breakdancing like Reagan.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's really cool.
Yeah, so I've travelled a lot with softball. So I guess my initial foray into the, getting a taste for travel was through playing sport.
Yeah.
I travelled. Yeah.
When was the last game of softball that you played?
Around the time I started driving. So competitively, probably 17 or 18. And that was, I went to the States, like the East Coast of the States, and we played against like the University of Hawaii and a few high schools in California. It was more a promotional tour type youth team, like an Australian youth team, I guess you'd call it. After that, I kind of came back and, I got my license, finished school, and I was out getting a job sort of thing. So
didn't go back. There's no scope to play it then after then? You just finished up?
Yeah, I just finished up. I felt like I'd done it since I was 7 years old. Like I'd just done it so long, and it was just kind of like tick, next. I didn't have any regrets not going back to it. I felt like I'd done it, 4 days out of 7 for 12 odd years.
How'd you get into it when you were 7? Like, was it someone at school that played it? Or
I think they might have advertised at school, and Mum and Dad were like, "Oh, that'd be a great sport for the girls." So we joined a local club in Mulgrave, and
Waverley
never looked
Waverley
back.
softball.
Waverley softball.
Yeah.
Well, I played. Yeah, so I played for Waverley in the under-12s and up. And then from the Waverley team, I made the state team from there. So we did tryouts and stuff.
I was trying to think the closest thing I would have got to softball would be T-ball, where it holds the ball for you and then you can hit it. I don't know how you do it when the ball's coming at you, how you hit it then. Well, T-ball's much easier.
Well, when we went to Perth and stuff, I mean, the ball's coming at you at 100 k's an hour. So but you know, when you've played from this age, and
awesome,
I was 16 by then, it was second nature.
Surpassed the other two. Nadine and Lisa are going, oh, fine.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just local. Little child's achieving again.
Yeah, so that was awesome. Good. But that kind of relates back to, I guess, a lot of our weekends away were just related to sport because we were just very, very into the sport.
Yeah, I wish I could say I was sporty, not so, no. Not in any way, shape or form. So my next question is around family life as an adult. So we will go back to some other bits there, but and I know the answer to this. Are you or have you ever been married? Oh, just once.
Yes, I have been married just once. So yes, I'm married to.
He's still present.
He is still present, if he's lucky. No. He's still present. He's the love of my life, Paul.
Oh, Mr.
So
Paul.
I met Paul when I was 26 or 26, I think, 27.
Okay.
Yeah, so I met Paul through Lisa, my younger sister,
okay.
who never lets me forget that she found my husband for me.
Well,
thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, she should hold on to that.
She does. She does. She reminds me every year.
She says, you're welcome.
Yes, she does. So
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I met she was going out with a guy at the time and Paul was a flatmate of his.
Oh, okay.
And she kind of was like, you know, come along to this cricket game. And I'm like, why? It's your boyfriend. I don't want to come. Anyway, she made me feel bad, so I came along to support her and she's like, oh, look at that guy out there. He's cute. And anyway, one thing led to another. So she was trying to set us up.
History.
Yeah, the rest is history. But when I did actually meet him, he came with Lisa and her partner at the time. They came over like a week later and I travelled a lot with work at that point.
Okay.
And I was due to go to Queensland the next day and Lisa rang me and she said, oh, Paul and her partner and I are going to come over for dinner tonight. And I'm like, well, you can't. And I'm going to Queensland tomorrow. No. And Paul's a chef, as was his roommate that he lived with at the time.
Okay.
And Lisa goes, they're both chefs.
Oh,
they'll cook dinner. Just we're coming to your house. And I'm like, all right then.
That's a gold mine.
Yeah, so they came over literally with bags of shopping in their hand, knocked on my door. I'd got home from work like 20 minutes earlier. Hi. And I'm like, it was so awkward.
Oh, my
Anyway,
gosh.
the two boys are in the kitchen, chefing
like
up.
an episode of Ready, Steady, Cook.
It was absolute master chef. So I was talking to Lisa and anyway, we ate dinner, whatever, got to like 9 o'clock at night and I'm kind of like,
you're going
everyone out, I've got to go to Queensland tomorrow. And anyway, Lisa and her partner upped and left and they're like, we've got work tomorrow, we're going. And Paul was in his own car. I think they'd pre-planned this.
I see what's going on here.
I see what's going on.
This is a stitch-up.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, so they left at like, I don't know, 9:30, what have you, and it got to 10 o'clock and I was, we were talking, having a great time or whatever, but I was kind of like, I really need you to go. And he wasn't getting the hint. And then he said to me, and I still remind him to this day, he says to me, I don't have to leave if you don't want me to.
Hello.
And anyway, that really just like took my breath away at the time. I said, look, no. So he did go home that night.
Oh.
But when I came back, so that was like on a Monday or a Tuesday night. And I came back from Queensland at the end of the week and we'd made an arrangement to meet up again that weekend and he never moved. Never, ever left from that day on.
Oh, my gosh.
So I was living in Scoresby at the time and, he was living in Lilydale sharing with his mate and, he basically stayed with me for about 2 weeks and in the end he's like, and I'm like, well, I don't want you to leave. And, anyway, so the rest is history. So he went and got his stuff and he moved in and here we are 20-odd years later.
So when you met him to when you got married? How many years?
Well, I got married when I was 30, so I'm going to say 3 and a bit years.
Yeah.
3 years maybe.
Okay.
Because I think I was at the end of 26 when I met him. So maybe I was 26 early or 27, so around 3 years. But when I met him, like after that Queensland trip, I remember saying to my mum, like I'd met him once and I said to Mum, I found the man I'm going to marry. And she goes, what? So I don't know, I just knew.
Yeah.
And I remember other people saying things like that in the past and I was like, you don't know on the first date. But I honestly, I did.
Oh.
So after one date, I thought,
What was so captivating when you met him?
His his gentle nature.
His cooking. No.
Well, as soon as I heard chef, I'm like, you're not going anywhere, mate.
Sign you up.
Yeah. But his gentle nature, very unassuming, humble, just a good person, just a good heart.
Yeah.
Still has to this day. I love him to death.
That's awesome. Don't wink. She's winking. No.
Love you, Paul. So that's how we met,
awesome.
And like any marriage, we've had our ups and downs, and it's more often than not he gives me that.
Yes,
and I probably do the same to him. But I think that's healthy.
That's love. I think
it's love. Yeah, and when things go wrong or things need to be said, I'm not one to keep it in.
Yeah,
and I guess he used to be a person to be very quiet about things like that. But as the marriage has progressed, he's the same now. Like, if he's like, I don't like that, or we need to do that, we talk. You know what I mean? Like, if it has to be aired, we talk about it, and that's how we get through. And things are forgotten next day, and we move on.
That's good. I was going to say you wore him down, so he has to say what's wrong. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong?
Yes,
that's awesome. So, next question is, and I know the answer to this one: do you have children?
I do.
Do you have any that you like? No.
one or two that I like. No, they're my greatest gift. My firstborn is Chelsea. So Chelsea is doing year 12 at the moment, is on to 30-something days left of year 12. So we're
And what year was she born?
She was born in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
With her, I knew I didn't know her at the time, but at the time of being pregnant, I had placenta previa.
Okay.
What they call grade 4 placenta previa, so quite severe, and that's where the placenta
coming away.
Not coming away, sets itself right in the line of the cervix, the exit point. So my obstetrician did say to me with that pregnancy, from 10 weeks, I think I was about 10 weeks pregnant, you will be having a cesarean.
Oh, wow.
In many cases, non-grade 4 would be, as the cervix gets bigger, it can sort itself out and can work. But with her, it was, and he said to me after she was born, that was the worst placenta previa he'd ever seen, like dead centre. So she was, born by cesarean. So I had a general anaesthetic. Wasn't even a cesarean where you have you see the baby from behind the curtain. I was out cold, and they had 10 litres of blood ready for a transfusion should anything go wrong. Thankfully, it didn't. So I was in recovery for probably 5 or 6 hours when she was born. Paul, even to this day, says those first few hours, because he was there obviously.
Yes.
And he said he just never really even held a baby, and he said he was just holding her like this in front of him, looking at her, and he wanted to go so excited.
Yes.
But he had no one, because I was in recovery, and it took, even my mum had arrived at the hospital by the time I had come out of recovery.
You're out cold.
I was out cold, but I always wanted a daughter, And I still remember to this day opening my eyes, when you come out of a surgery, and I remember opening my eyes, and Paul leaned down and he said to me, "You got yourself a daughter."
Oh, man.
And I just, I can't tell you, there was such a defining moment. So, that's how Chelsea came along, and she's just a gem. She's just a beautiful, gorgeous girl, very organised, just always been a good girl. And
like her mum.
Somewhat. I like to think I had something to do with that. So when Chelsea was 6 months old, I said to Paul, right, we better start thinking about number 2. Hello.
Chop, chop.
Well, chop, chop was literally it. First shot. So I still remember, doing a pregnancy test and looking at that going, and I had Chelsea in my arms, and I rang Paul at work, and he was very busy at work. He works in civil construction. And I remember ringing him going, "Hi, Darnie." He goes, "What's going on? I'm busy. What do you want? Is everything all right?" And I said, I think we're having another baby. And he just went silent and hung the phone up.
You've got the wrong number.
Yeah. And he rang me back, like he must have fixed what he was doing, and he rang me back 10 minutes later, and he's like, "Hang on." And I said, "Yeah, we're going to have 2. So, Nathan came along.
Close together. That's
very close together. So
I remember that.
Nathan came along not even 15 months later. Yeah, so very, very close together.
Literally 2 babies.
Well, I had 2 of them in nappies for the first. Like, I was bribing the hell out of Chelsea with lollies, chocolate, whatever I could find to get into. She was toilet trained by the age of 2. A week after her second birthday, she was in undies, and I'm like, right, go. So then I only had 1. But leaving the house between, change a nappy, but let's go, let's get in the car. Another one. Oh, back we go. Change another. So I had 2 of them in nappies for like maybe 2, certainly 6 months to a year. That was a tough little period there.
But it was.
But at the same time, I always wanted my kids close together within a couple of years, you know. So the fact that Nathan came along so soon after I was wrapped, very hard 5 years from yay to nay, but they are like best friends now. Oh, they're best friends. They hang out all the time. They whisper behind my back.
I love it.
Yeah, they're thick as thieves, those two. So
that's really nice. That is really, and I guess one of my things is always finding out about what family support when people have children, because it's so important.
It takes a village.
And I didn't really have it myself. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I'm always intrigued. And you've got, oh, my gosh, your mum.
Well, the fact that mum, so I lived in Scoresby, and then Nadine even lived in Scoresby at the start. When she got married, she moved to Rowville. When I got married, we moved to Rowville. I just thought it'd be good to be near for the kids to have cousins and what have you. So mum moved to Rowville. She was in Forest Hill. She's gone to Rowville too. We're all in different houses, obviously, but we're all, even to this day, even my dad's now in Listerfield. So we're all 5 of us, immediate family, are within a 5-minute drive of each other.
How good is that?
So, yeah, when my kids came along, mum had retired. So
perfect.
She was my 2IC.
Love her.
To this day, even now.
Yes.
This afternoon I had to ring her, and she's a gem. Absolute. Couldn't ask for better support. With everyone around me. But so thankful for the good people around me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she's a steam train though, isn't she?
She's a steam
train. She'll just keep going.
She's a steam train.
She's an energizer bunny.
That she is.
In terms of your family and traditions you've established, I guess, for you four, what sort of traditions have you established together as the kids are growing up with Christmases and outings and things?
Look, we certainly, it's changing a little bit now as they get older and they both have jobs, but we always made a point of having dinner together at the table.
Yeah.
Especially when they were little, like certainly right through primary school and even into early high school, we were phones away.
Yes.
Sitting around the table and we talk to each other.
Yeah.
That has changed somewhat now.
Yeah.
Because if you can't beat them, join them.
Everyone else is on their phone. Someone's on their phone up.
But having said that, we do make a point to, we have a family group chat and only yesterday my husband sends a message to us all, love you guys so much. So it's just we like to keep our kids close.
So good.
We always set boundaries for them, so they knew if they overstepped the boundary, they'd be wound right back in.
Yeah.
So they learned from a very early age, if mum says no, like when they were little, if I get off this chair, you're not going to like it. And so I'd go 1, 2, 3, but I always followed through. So my kids never, ever really honestly had to be disciplined after the age of 4 or 5. Normal sort of stuff and teenage stuff, yes, but as little kids, I always followed through with it. Mum's not going to be happy if you do that, and here's why.
Yes.
So they've been very respectful kids and stuff like that. So we've always kept them close, talked openly to them. We've always said to them, don't ever feel you can't talk to us, about boys or whatever. Any of those kind of things that, some kids would go, oh, not talking to mum.
Yes.
I've always kept it open, and sometimes I've had conversations with them that would make them feel uncomfortable, but they're things that if I don't teach it to them, no one's going to. And, I've had moments where, I won't mention which child, but like, oh, mum, we don't need to talk about this. And I'm like, yes, we do. And if I want to teach you my way. So, and, and in hindsight, they have thanked me for it in times.
I love that.
Times gone by. So, that's the kind of things we do.
That's right. Flip it on them.
Yep.
Going back, I was just thinking about, the hardest times, I guess, when you're talking about when they were little. But moving on to relationships and what are, I guess, some of the earliest memories that you and Paul have together, like before the kids, early and best memories?
Yep. The first holiday we went on together was to the Barossa Valley in South Australia.
Yes.
So that was a fun trip away. That was literally just the two of us, and I think we'd been together maybe 2 months at that point.
Wow.
So it was very, romantic
Life bands,
and holding hands and Well, everything you kind of, you hoped it would be. So we did that. But I also, with that particular job I had at the time of meeting him, travelled a lot with work. So I managed 4 states.
Okay.
So quite often, like every probably third or fourth week, I'd be in either WA, South Australia or Tasmania and Victoria because we were based here. So quite often, and Paul had travelled, I think at that point when I met him, he'd been to New Zealand and that was about it. He was not well travelled, just through no desire and no means, I guess, and maybe friends that didn't travel or what have you. But anyway, so once we got together, I used to say to him, look, I'm going to work, going to Perth for a trade show or what have you. If you want to come, I can organise it because I was having the room anyway, so one extra person in the room, so he'd pay for his airfare, and so he saw all of Australia just through me working. But we'd hang out at night and stuff like that, so we got really close through that. So him and I, we travelled a lot even before we got engaged. We did a 6-week. Like I said to him, we knew we were going to get married and we wanted to start a family, and because I was already in my late 20s at that point, and I said to him, if you want to travel, I've travelled extensively in my early 20s, but he hadn't. So we did a round-the-world trip.
Oh, cool.
We went away for 8 weeks, and we literally, Paul's dad lives in the United States.
Yes.
So we did a stop over there, maybe a week or two, so travelled a little bit around over the New York side of the States, and then we went across to London and Paris and all the kind of main European stops, and got to the top of the Eiffel Tower, and I was waiting. Didn't happen. 6 weeks later, we got home, and the day we got home from our world trip, he proposed to me.
Oh, for God's sake!
Yes, literally the day we got home. Like there was suitcases and dirty washing everywhere, and I was literally laying on the floor in my lounge room, looking at the roof, going, "Oh, I've got to go back to work." And he said, "Will you marry me?"
By the way,
wow.
Oh,
yeah. So that's how.
Had he planned that day?
I don't know, actually. I don't know. I've never asked him that. I must ask him.
Write that down.
But it was what he did say was that, with a trip like that and going to Paris and, everyone, including, myself, was expecting.
Yeah,
and
sure.
And Paul's not one to succumb to any pressure.
Yeah.
So he probably, had it in the back of his mind, but he was like, I'm not doing it because everyone else wants me to do it. So, so we had this trip and I remember coming back going, but... Yeah, so the day we got back. Oh. Yeah.
Take it all back.
Yeah. So that was good. That was fun.
Awesome. And we talked about, I guess, what you admire most about him. Are there any quirks or personality traits that are a little bit different or that you really, really love?
I love that he can cook. I mean, he's a wizard in the kitchen. Sometimes
what an admirable piece that is.
I can open the fridge doors and I go, there's nothing there. And he will come home from work and I'm like, I'll have to go to the shops and he'll open the fridge and he'll go, oh no, I can, and he'll get out, a little bit of garlic and he'll use some herbs and spices, and then we're eating this gourmet meal like 30 minutes later. I would still be chopping the potatoes at this point.
So many people would be jealous of that right now, Mandy.
He's so
good. God.
And since he stepped away from chefing as a career 15 years ago when we had kids, because as you know, being a chef, it's hospitality hours. And when we had 2 kids very young, he was like, I don't want to work these hours anymore. So he literally changed career, like from one extreme to another. Started on a broom in his new job, literally pushing a broom.
Yeah.
And he's worked his way up. But because he's not cooking 8 hours a day,
perfect.
now he comes home and I'm like, right, it's your turn again. And he'd say again.
Do you hire him out? Or?
So, but look,
that's brilliant.
My friends will be laughing their head off when they listen to this because I always say, yeah, I'm a good cook. And they're all, bullshit. You've got Paul. So, I cook a couple of nights a week and Paul cooks 2 or 3 times a week and we might eat out once a week. But he is a wizard in the kitchen and I always say to him, use your strengths. We all got, I'll do the washing, you do the cooking.
That is a very, very good thing.
Yeah.
Because you have to, I think focusing on your strengths. I mean, he likes it, he can do it, so hey.
But honestly, and I do say this to him and he'd probably roll his eyes right now, but he does it without thinking. Like he will have a chopping board and he'll have potatoes and onions and he's, chopping them faster than the speed of light. And I'm talking to him and he's looking at me while he's doing it. And I'm like, why would I sit there going,
yeah. It's not a good use of time.
It's not a good use of time. I'll fold washing. You cook. And sometimes he's like, oh, I wish you'd cook. I get home from work and I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So I'll do my little bit. I'll do my pasta the next night. But I always say to him, you've got 2 jobs.
Yeah.
One is to go out and work, and the other is to feed us. There's nothing else around the house I ask him to do. I do all the running around. I still work. You know, I do everything.
Yeah,
he
perfect.
does a lot too, but I just say to him, just food and work. That's
Not
it.
asking much.
Not asking much. And you know what? Over the years, I'm sure he's you know, there's been times he's like, yeah, you could cook, but you know,
You can pick up a knife occasionally.
yeah. So, but he's gorgeous man. Have so many good memories here.
All right, well, move on to work and profession. So, Mandy, you've mentioned, I guess, work has taken you a lot of different places. What was your first job?
So my first real job, which is the one where I travelled with work, that I didn't start that job until I was 24 because between the age of 21 and 24 I was overseas.
Okay.
So I just kind of had periodic jobs over there. But when I came back, I worked for a company called Baby Love.
Mm-hmm.
So baby car seats, nappies, all the kind of baby gear. They're still around to this day.
Yeah.
So I started that job literally in customer service, just answering the phone, I ended up being in that. So I've only ever had 3 jobs in my entire life. So that was one job. I was there for 10 years, but I started in customer service and then I kind of just moved my way up. And by the time I got married, I was the business development manager there.
Oh, wow.
So I'd had several promotions through the years. Great small company in Lewis Road, just down here in Wanturna. I loved that place. Like everyone was like family there.
Oh.
So when I got married, I was going to go on maternity leave, and then Paul, previous to that, had said, you know, I always wanted to go into business, and I thought, I love talking to people, and I'll just chew the ear off anyone.
Yeah.
He's so good at cooking, so he wanted to do a cafe. So I left Baby Love, and then we bought a cafe down in Bayswater.
Okay.
And in our head we were going to do it as a 5-year thing while our kids were very little.
Oh, wow. I didn't know this.
Yeah. So, what happened was, our 5-year plan, was anyway. So we bought this little business. We put in a new coffee machine, and Paul was out the back making beautiful. It was like a lunch bar.
Okay.
In an industrial area.
Okay.
So we had our regular customers that come in for breakfast, and I was literally pregnant with Chelsea. So we had a couple of staff. Chelsea came along and we would, Mum and Dad would come and help and wash dishes for us. And Dad was like, well, we're not putting Chelsea into care. So we set up a cot out the back, and my dad would wash dishes, and then he'd go out and check on Chelsea in the bassinet.
Oh, my goodness.
Like it was a real family affair. Anyway, so I'm out the front, talking to the customers, building rapport. And because I love talking, this business grew exponentially in the space of probably 2 years. And we had regular and some lunchtime. So we had 4 staff plus me, and we would have 3 deep, in this little tiny lunch bar.
Mandy.
And Paul's out the back smashing out food. Anyway, so Chelsea, I became pregnant with Nathan quite quickly after, as I mentioned. So by the time Nathan came along, I thought, well, I'm going to be out with 2 kids.
Heavens.
And it was almost like a fork in the road. This couple, a Cambodian couple, walked into the shop one day and just said, we love, we can see how busy you are. We want to buy this business. And I was like, it's not for sale.
Wow.
Anyway, and I think I don't know how heavily pregnant. No, I don't think I was heavily pregnant. I might have been just pregnant. Anyway, that was that week. And I said to Paul, someone wanted to buy the business. And anyway, we said it wasn't for sale. They went away. And about 3 months later, they came back again, the same couple, and said, we want this business. And we said, well, it's not for sale. But at that time I was quite pregnant, and I said to Paul, they left their number. I said, if you change your mind, please ring us. And anyway, we must have thought about it for a week or so, and I said to Paul, look, in the space of 3 months, I'm going to have 2 kids under 2.
Yeah.
You're going to be under pressure with kids at home, me here, and starting at 6 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, our 5-year plan then was sort of cut short, so we accepted their offer. Because it enabled me to stay home for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So hence, we sold that.
What was the name of the business?
It was called Lunches on London.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I
never knew that.
Yeah, it was a Monday to Friday business. So, it was a Monday to Friday business when we bought it, being an industrial area.
Yeah.
But we just, because so many tradies work on a Saturday morning, so Paul implemented doing Saturday mornings from 6 a.m. till midday or 11:30.
God.
And the Saturdays alone, because no other cafes in the area were open.
For sure.
He would
gangbusters.
He used to Paul made this thing called a BAB burger, B-A-B. And anyway, he said, I'm going to do this new burger on a Saturday. It's called the BAB burger. And I'm like, what kind of marketing rubbish is this? What's a bad burger? And he goes, it's a big-ass burger. And it literally was that. He, double egg, bacon, exactly what tradies want. And he had people queuing up out the door on a Saturday morning sometimes, these tradies. So anyway, that was our little business. So it was a very short period of our life.
Yeah.
But it was meant to be because, like I said, when these people took over, and it wasn't in our plan, it allowed me to be a stay-at-home mum, set me up at home to raise my own kids.
Oh, man,
and I literally stayed at home for the next 5 years. And that's when we went to the States for the kids to meet their grandparents. So we lived in Pennsylvania for a year, or just under a year. And
that was amazing at the time. I do remember that. And you swapped houses essentially, or you rented out.
We rented out our house. We put all our stuff in the garage and locked the garage.
Yeah.
And we rented our house out to a family who were doing a similar thing. They'd come out from Ireland. And the woman, oh my gosh, Tara, her name was. Her and I got along so well. And she ended up taking my job.
Oh, did she?
It's a long story, but it was it was almost like a swap. Well, I'm going for a year and you're here for a year. You do my job for a year, and when I come back, you go back to and that's literally what happened.
How bizarre.
Yeah, we spent a year in the States with getting to know Paul's dad and his now wife. So his parents split when he was very young.
Yeah.
So we got to know all the family over there, and still to this day we just love them all,
Yeah.
The kids, Chelsea went to 3-year-old kinder over there, and within 2 months she had an American accent. She came home one day from kinder and said, "Mummy, I want some water." And Paul and I looked at each other.
Oh, my God.
What? But, when we came home, luckily Chelsea had a wonderful teacher in Jodes.
She did. That would be me.
That would be you.
Aww.
So, yeah.
She's
so
the
we
best.
but we were kind of the newbie at kinder. I still remember, coming in at term 2 and being the new person, and even though the kids didn't know any different, I always felt like I was the one standing out. And, there was a couple of the mums there, and yourself and Trish, obviously, that made us feel very welcome. And to this day, I'm still friends with those couple of mums too.
Yes. I do remember that.
Yeah, got a couple of good kinder friend mums. And
friendships from back then too.
And Chelsea's closest friend is from kinder,
Oh,
Cinta.
my gosh.
Yeah, so, so we...
Do they go to the same school?
They'd go to different schools, but they're still very, very close. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. What did you do when you finished year 12 at Kerry? What did you do after then?
Until I was, so that was 18 and a half, 19, I worked, I literally had 3 jobs. So I always knew I wanted to travel. So between kind of 18 and a half, 19 till I was 21, I literally had 3 jobs. Actually, when I was nearly 20, Nadine and I moved to Hawaii for 3 months.
What?
Yes.
Didn't know this also?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
So 3 months was the limit you could go on a tourist visa to the States. And we were just like, we want to go to Hawaii. So Nadine and I got on a plane.
Let's go.
And, we got our tourist visa. We landed it. So I still had these 3 jobs at home with a view that I was going to Europe.
Okay.
That was my long-term plan.
Okay.
But this was a periodic kind of like, let's go now. I can't wait. Like I just wanted to get going. So we went to Oahu in Hawaii, and we spent the first week just around the touristy kind of areas, and we looked for a place to live, and we found a place on the North Shore, which was a little town called Kailua.
Okay.
And we moved in with 2 US Marines.
Oh, for God's sake.
They happened to be...
Were you both single at the time?
We were both single at the time. They were a couple. So
rude.
Yes. But we weren't there looking for US Marines, although we did find a couple. If you know what I mean. But we moved in with these 2 guys.
Amazing.
So the elder, so there were a couple, as I mentioned, and the elder of the 2, I can't even think of his name now, but he was around, so we were 19, 20, Nadine was maybe 21.
Okay.
And he was about in his 40s, and he was a captain of a nuclear sub.
Oh, wow.
Based in Kailua there. And his partner was much younger, so 10 years younger, say. Okay. So his partner would have been 10 years older than us. So they were older to us. Yeah. But because they were quite often out at sea on submarines, they wanted someone to take care of their house while they were gone. So they gave us cheap rent. We still had to pay our way, but they gave us cheap rent in this beautiful, it was literally a mansion.
Amazing.
Like Nadine and I were like, what the hell? In-ground pool, resort style, everything. So
Beverly Hills 90210.
Literally. So we And being on the north shore of Oahu, it's not touristy. This was literally military bases and just people, Hawaiians, just living there every day. But there were a few bars around and stuff like that. But because of the military bases, and we did not know this at the time of moving there, so these boys that we were living with went out to sea. They were gone. We had the place to ourselves for 6 weeks at a time. And we would go to the local bar. And because, of course, we had Australian accents, we were the ants' pants in this bar. Let me hear you talk. Say kangaroo. And
that's so cool.
Nadine and I, we had a ball. Literally bet. So much fun. For 3 months just hanging out. We met military guys that driving Corvettes. We're driving around the island in Corvettes. And it was just,
that's so
there was a time, and it was such a short period of time, but it was amazing.
So what was Nadine doing at the time then? So she was able to do this with you?
Yeah, we both Nadine didn't go to university. She just went, well, both of us actually, we both just really worked. So I can't remember what she was actually doing for a job, but
the time was right.
The time was right, and I said, well, I'm going if you want to come.
That's brilliant.
So she came with me. Yeah, so 3 months we were over there. Did not want to come home, but, it was like the visa's ticking, and so we came home, and, yeah.
What a great experience.
It was so good.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so
I
good.
love that.
Yeah.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was in high school, I always wanted to be in foreign affairs and trade. I wanted to work in that side of sort of industry or business, like a business area.
Yeah.
But foreign affairs and trade was always my. But I never ended up going to uni, so that was off the cards as soon as that happened. And that's when I kind of in my head went, well, I'm going to go to the University of Life.
Yeah.
And that was travelling. So when I realised I wasn't going to uni, I literally took on 3 jobs, as I said, came back from Hawaii, kept working for another year.
For some reason I thought you did go to uni. I don't know why.
No, never did.
So smart.
Yeah.
You could get in anywhere.
I know. I didn't get into the course I wanted at the time, and I thought, well, I'm not going to uni for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And so I said, no, I want to go and work. So anyway, I did my 3 jobs.
That's
and
awesome.
Got to 21 and I went overseas with 3 girls from Shelford. So Hilly, Shane and Karina. Do you remember Karina?
Oh, yes, Karina, yes.
So Hilly and Shane had already gone. They were like a month ahead of us.
Okay.
I went over with Karina and I literally got off the plane and went to the bar that Kylie had already got herself a job in.
Wow.
In Mayfair, like the ritziest Toorak of London.
Goodness.
And I walked into this bar, 1700s bar with a little doorway half the size of this. And I walked into this bar, typical London bar, like pumping. And the publican, Greg, the boss, who Kylie was behind the bar, she's like, oh, this is my friend Mandy. And I literally had got off the plane the night before and he said, can you pour a beer? And I said, no. And he goes, get round here. And he showed me and he said, right, when can you start? And I had a job within literally 24 hours of arriving.
Oh, God.
Kylie and I stayed there I worked at, that particular bar in Mayfair was called the Red Lion. I met Tom Cruise at that bar.
Oh, wow.
And I got a £500 tip from Tom Cruise.
Oh, my gosh.
No jokes.
Shout out to Tom Cruise.
Shout out to Tommy.
Hello.
Thank you very much. That was when he was married to Nicole. How it came about was, last on, first to leave is generally how it works. And I had only been there about 6 months at this point in time. And Greg, the publican, said, I need 2 people so the bar would close at kind of 10, 11 o'clock at night, midweek. Okay. And the publican said, I need 2 staff to stay back. We're shutting the bar early at 10 or 9 or whatever. I need someone to stay back and we'll probably be here till 1 a.m. And everyone's like, no, I've been here since 10. And everyone looked at me because I was the newbie. And I'm like, oh. So I had no choice but to stay back. So myself and an older girl who was a waitress, Vera, never forget Vera, love her. She worked in the a la carte restaurant and I worked in the bar. So anyway, everyone goes home, they shut the bar, clean it up a little bit, and then and I'm thinking, what's going on here? And about 30, 40 minutes later, Greg, the boss, goes and unlocks the front door and opens it, and these 3 limos pull up.
Oh, my goodness.
And out of the first limo is Cuba Gooding Jr. and his wife.
For God's sake.
They come in and I am like going, oh, my God, that's Cuba Gooding Jr. I'm trying to...
So what year is this?
This is 96.
Wow.
96 or 97? 96, I think.
Oh, show me the money.
Yeah. Well, I'm not joking when I say to you, they came to our bar that night because because it was Mayfair, that's where the theatre district was.
Oh.
They had been to the premiere of
yes.
Yes, Show Me the Money. What's it called?
I know, it's gone out of my
Jerry
head now.
Maguire.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire.
So they'd been at the premiere. So they'd done their premiere, done all their media, and at the end of the night they wanted to have so they had been to our pub obviously several times before.
Oh, wow.
They ring up confidentially. Greg, makes it happen. Anyway, so yeah, Cuba Gooding Jr. and his wife come out of the first limo. Second drives off, and I'm like, oh my. Second limo pulls up, and a couple got out that I didn't recognise, but I was like, friends of theirs or whatever. And the third limo pulls up, and out pops Nicole and Tom.
For goodness sake.
And when I say I'm in this bar with the boss, Greg, myself, 20, 21 I think I was. Vera might have been 25, 26, and these 6 people. That's it. All
Heaven's sake.
9 of us. And he
of all
ushered
the
them.
places they choose.
He ushered them through to the back area where the restaurant was. And so Vera, my colleague, got fluffed around and got them whatever they needed. I went in and I said, can I get you guys some drinks? And I'm literally freaking out. And anyway, so I took their round of drinks and I got to Nicole and she ordered her drink and she said, "Oh, you're Australian." And I said, "Yes, I am." She goes, "So am I." And I said, "I know." And that was literally, I probably look back going, what a stupid thing to say, but I just said, I know. Anyway, so that was that. We left them alone, and there's 7 bars in London.
Oh, no, don't leave them alone. Sit at the table.
There's 7 bars in London at the time, I don't know if it's still the same, that didn't allow the paparazzi.
Oh.
I did not know this. My bar happened to be one of them.
Oh.
So that's why a lot of celebrities – so through that next 9 months that I worked there, heaps of celebrities came through. But that was my first foray.
For God's sake.
And at the end of the night, so all the 3 limos pull up again and Cuba Gooding and his wife get in one and off they go home. This is 1 o'clock in the morning. Nicole and the others get in the next one, and then Nicole went out on her own and got in the limo, and Tom stayed and paid the bill. Anyway, he was talking to Greg and shaking hands, and as he went to leave out the door, so we're just standing there beside Greg doing, in our waitress outfit, and he said, "Thanks, Greg, we'll see you next time we're in London," and he turns around and he goes, "Oh, and thank you girls for staying back so late, most appreciated," and he reached in his pocket and he £500 to Vera and £500 to me.
Far out.
Now, in 1996, that was about the equivalent of $1,500 Australian dollars. And I just thought I'd hit the jackpot.
Oh, my goodness.
So, anyway, that was that. They left and what have you, and I got home at 2 in the morning and I just rang. I didn't even know what time it was in Australia. I rang Mum and I rang, oh, my God.
You're going to believe this.
Because Tom Cruise, even though he's not so massive now, then he was...
He's maverick.
He was in his prime. Like,
Colour
that
of
was
Money.
massive.
He's got so many...
Everything. He was everywhere.
Cocktail, yeah.
So that's my kind of claim to fame.
Oh,
so
that's a good one.
That was, yeah. And
did Kylie go, well, how come I wasn't on that?
I don't know whether she probably... Kylie, you'll have to tell me the answer to this.
She's never forgiven you.
I have a feeling that she wasn't working that day.
Oh,
like you might have been a day off or what have
timing.
You. Yeah, and I was there and it was just one of those things. So... yeah, I worked there for 9 months, and then when I left there, I travelled for 2 or 3 months around Europe.
Yeah.
Another girl that worked in the bar with me who was not there on the Tom Cruise night, Frida, still my very good friend. Hello, Frida, over in Sweden.
Oh, shout out to Frida in Sweden.
Yeah, Frida.
Is she a part of ABBA?
She should. Frida and I hit it off, so well, and I travelled back to Sweden to see her family, meet her family, and we were bike riding around Sweden, camping on beaches, like this stuff that you kind of just dream of as
You've had so many amazing experiences.
Oh my God, so many
I didn't
things.
know any of this.
So many things.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I travelled for 3 months with her and just around Italy and went on, to Venice and just travelled as much as I could. When I started to run out of money, I went back to London.
Yeah.
Got a job in West Kensington, so not far from 10 minutes from Mayfair.
Okay.
And they were live-in jobs back then. So in Kensington, I worked at the pub called the Curtains Up in West Kensington, and I lived in, so bar down the bottom, lived upstairs, so all your meals are included and all that sort of stuff. And I won't say highlight, but the major thing that happened when I was in West Kensington was Princess Diana died.
Oh, gosh.
And Kensington Palace was literally 1 kilometre up the road.
Yeah,
so.
Right.
And it was still clear, and they say you always remember where you were at 9/11 and stuff like that.
I do.
So I was upstairs in this West Kensington bar, and it was my day off. So you don't. The etiquette was if you're having a day off, you don't bother the people because you live within the pub.
Yeah.
And so, and someone's knocking on my door and I'm like, it's my day off. And knock, 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 knock. In the end, they came in. I'm like, what? It's my day off. Oh, my God, Princess Diana's just died. Like it was, you remember how big it was. It was just global news for like, I don't know, 2 weeks.
Huge.
But it was so massive being in West Kensington.
Course.
There was you couldn't get a cab, you couldn't get a bus. It was just mayhem and chaos. And I had rollerblades. That was my way of getting around London because there was just so many people in traffic. And I rollerbladed that day because I was in so much shock. I rollerbladed up to Kensington Palace. And, I don't know if you ever recall the sea of flowers.
Yeah.
And it had been like 12 hours since the news broke. The flowers were as far as the eye could see. I can't tell you. Like, I'll never forget it.
I remember seeing the photos. We went to Kensington Palace. They've got photos there at Kensington Palace of all the flowers of when she passed away. Mm-hmm. Incredible.
And you couldn't get anywhere. I mean, the people and and it's still to this day, it just gives me goosebumps because it was so huge. Yeah, so that sort of was a period of time. So that was August 31, 1997. Excuse me. Yeah, so that was kind of like, and I worked at that bar maybe 6 months and then travelled again. I went across, so I left London and Europe at that point and went across to America and worked on a summer camp over there in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
Camp Saginaw.
Oh, wow.
So I did, 3 months in the US summer with a bunch of 12-year-old girls. They were my little cohort in my bunk room. So cool. Think of a bunk room with 12 beds, typical American summer camp. One leader, myself, up one end, one leader up the other end because there was a door at each end. We had to make sure the kids weren't sneaking out at night. But I was too busy snoring because I was exhausted at the end of the day. They could have gone wherever they wanted. So I worked on a summer camp in the States for 3 months. We only got paid minimal. I think we got paid $500 for the whole thing. It was more the experience.
Do people do that now, though? Because I remember back then it was a real thing.
Yeah, back then probably
thing.
Bigger back then than it is now.
Yeah.
But they still do it. And I've even said to Chelsea, consider it when you finish school, gap year, what have you.
Yeah.
But, I worked on that. And again, just because there was people from all over the world working on this camp. So we had Irish, Scottish,
so
UK,
good.
whatever. And 7 of us hired a minivan at the end of the camp and we travelled around the whole, literally around America for 3 months or something after that because we had a visa for 6 months or something.
God, you've done so much.
I have, I've loved, I still to this day, I'm always planning my next trip.
Yeah.
I've been to the States 13 times.
Oh, wow.
Probably half of that amount of times through travelling with friends, sister. I went with my friend Rach. I went with Nadine a couple of times. But then the latter half of those trips would have been through Paul's family.
Yeah.
Going and staying there and visiting them on, I think Chelsea's been there 2 or 3 times. So,
gosh.
Just travelled. Travel is just such an education and I've loved it. I just love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, I did not know so much of that, Mandy. That's incredible. Thinking about now your passions and interests, what are your favourite music or bands these days? Is there much to choose from?
Yeah, there is so much to choose from, and my husband will be laughing now because I won't say I'm an avid music person. Him and Chelsea are the the ones that love music. I mean, I still love music, but I'm not avidly listening to Spotify or what have you. But, music and band, look, I've loved all genres. Like, I loved Bon Jovi back in the day.
My cousin does.
My first concert, Bros. Remember Bros? 1988.
I'm so jealous. You went to see Bros.
I got to see Bros.
Oh. Do you reckon they'll tour again? Hey, everyone. Yeah.
We can always hope.
Bros. What year was that?
1988, year 8. So you would have been in year 10.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep, year 8.
Totally could have gone.
Bros. Yeah, that was my first
I did know
concert.
people that went to see Bros.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then I saw 1927 at Festival Hall a few years later.
Yes.
I've seen Madonna.
Yes.
Madonna at the MCG. I've seen...
Girly show?
I saw Tay-Tay earlier this year.
0.01% of the population that actually got to see it.
I know, yeah. So, yeah, look, I mean, I love all sorts. Paul is the movie buff / music, like his Spotify list is. So I listen to what he listens to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Any favourite movies or actors?
Oh, gosh. Favourite movie? I always loved Forrest Gump.
Yes.
Run, Forrest, run.
Yes.
That's just a classic.
Iconic.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's so many good movies out there, but that one, I always, I could watch that several times and never get bored of it. So, yeah, that's probably what I'd say is my favourite.
All right. I'm going to move on to, we talked about your friendships. You've collected so many over the years, Mandy. You seem to accumulate people.
It's just because I talk so much and I talk to anyone. I love talking to people.
So good.
I love talking to people. Even my husband says, oh, my God, we went, I can't remember where we were. We were interstate somewhere and someone goes, Mandy. And my husband's like, we have to leave the state and people still know you. Sorry.
That's awesome. That's so good. Life's turning points. Can you share a significant turning point or moment of realisation in your life?
I guess turning point, starting a family was a big, and I'm sure that's a very common answer to that question, but, that's where your life stops being yours or not stops being yours, but stops being about you and then becomes about someone else. So, yeah, biggest turning point was that realisation of everything's for them now, and totally was ready for that. Like I was 30, I got married at 30, engaged at 30 or 29, 30, married at 31, Chelsea at 32, Nathan at 33. So bang, 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 bang. But we were ready. I'd done my travel and I wanted to get that travel done because I knew once I started a family that's all encompassing.
Yeah,
and that's what I've done. So, yeah, worked ever since. So the turning point was definitely having a family and haven't looked back. I always wanted 2 kids. Like even before we discussed having a family, it was always going to be 2.
Yeah.
Paul was the same, thankfully. He never said I want 4 kids or 3. It was 2, whether it was 2 girls, 2 boys. We were lucky that we got one of each. And I remember someone saying to me, "You got a pair of pigeons." And I said, you mean a pigeon pair. But yes, so we laugh about that. But yeah.
Oh, that's so, and I do remember them being close in age now when you said about.
Well, you would remember Nathan come running down.
Yeah, they were very
the
close.
Kinder room, and he was in there. Where's Jody?
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah. Oh,
little bulldozer he was.
My next segment is called Curious Corner, where I ask curious questions about our guests. Can you recall a time? Oh gosh, Mandy, there has to be so many where you just couldn't stop laughing at something.
There is one or two.
Does it involve Nadine?
Both of them do. How did you know? I am not
just
joking.
A wild guess.
Well, one time both involved Nadine, and Nadine and I alone. No one else was involved.
Lisa,
funny about that. Oh, she's probably had her times with Nadine too. She was the sensible one. There's 2 that I can think of. One was so Nadine would have been, I guess, 13 because I was 11.
Okay.
So, being a teenager, Mum and Dad were going out to visit friends on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon and gave Nadine the responsibility of looking after Lisa and I.
I have no idea what you're going to say.
So Mum and Dad were, 30 minutes away. It was an all of a 2-hour trip, Okay. Like, so Nadine, you behave and put the TV on. And anyway, so Nadine's like, right, we're going to go and have a look at Dad's grog cupboard. Anyway, I'm not going. Sure. So Dad had like a little cabinet thing when Dad liked his odd scotch here and there. Anyway, so Nadine 13, me 11. And Nadine goes and gets one of Dad's shot glasses out of his cupboard and grabs the scotch and fills it up, right? Just a little shot and says, "Here's what I want you to do. I want you to hold your nose like this, block your nose, open your mouth and just scull it."
Yeah.
So, of course, being 11, I do what I'm told. And she did that twice.
Oh, my gosh.
So there's me, Mum and Dad come home, 4 in the afternoon, and there's me laughing my head off, jumping on my bed in my bedroom like it's a trampoline. And Nadine's in her room going, "I don't know, look at her. Look, she's been ridiculous." And I got in so much trouble.
Oh.
But we were, in hindsight, we laugh now. But at the time...
Did either of you come clean?
I dobbed her in because I was getting in trouble. I was like, Nadine made me. And then Dad went and looked and he saw the shot glass and he saw his little... So there's Nadine giving me shots at the age of 11. Oh, she was probably watching TV or in her room. I don't know. I don't recall, but...
The alcohol sisters are at it again.
But straight scotch, 2 shots at 11.
How did you not die?
Yeah, well, thanks, Nad. Nad.
That was one.
So that was one. The second one, as I said, also involved Nadine. So we were much older now.
Trouble in a box.
I think we might have even been in Hawaii at this time, possibly. Okay. And there happened, I don't know if I should be saying this on there, but there happened to be, that green stuff that you can
Oh, yes.
smoke. Nadine, I don't know where she got it. It must have fallen out of the back of the car or something, but she had her hands on some of this stuff. And she's like, come on, let's go out in the balcony. And I'm like, I don't do that.
Yes.
Come on, stop being a wuss. So here we are.
Peer group pressure.
Peer group pressure. Thanks, Nad, again. And so there we're smoking this joint. We had a joint each. Oh, my God. The next 2 or 3 hours, I literally was rolling on the floor laughing. We would look at each other and just crack up. Like, I can't, you had to be there, but it was just one of those things that we would literally look at each other and just crack up. So, again, you hit the nail on the head with Nadine.
The things you got up to, trouble in a box.
Nadine, the rebel.
Oh.
So, yeah.
We should get Nadine on. I think she's more low-key these days, do you think?
Yeah, well, she's grandma. She's a grandma now.
Yeah, she is.
So
she can't behave like that. But now it's on record. No,
that's right. So, yeah.
That's gold.
Yes.
I had a feeling. I just had a feeling.
You knew.
It was going to involve Miss Nadine. If you could have any superpower for a day, what would it be?
Oh, dear. I think I would love to be able to be a mind reader.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, if you could read people's minds. Like, I know what you're thinking.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be fun. Time travel would be fun, I guess, as well.
Yes,
going back to a different era
absolutely.
and, you know, that sort of thing would also be fun. And I've always thought, you know, like fly on the wall kind of stuff, like camouflage. Imagine if you could camouflage to, you know, I don't know, maybe even invisibility camouflage, I don't know, just to be a fly on the wall.
Invisibility cloak for me, for Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But, you know, what do they say? When you hear things that you're not meant to hear it, you know, sometimes people don't like what they hear.
That's right.
Yeah, very good. Now, this one, I think people have struggled with getting to 5 people, so it's okay. Name 5 people or some people you would invite for dinner and why. Oh, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, no.
Friend of the show.
G'day, Tommy.
And Nicole, can't miss her out either. Who would you invite for dinner that you would be unlikely to ever meet?
I've always thought it would be interesting to meet the Prince and Princess of Wales.
Oh, yes.
They are just all class. I just think it would be nice to, but also I think it would be nice to see them, you know, away from the camera, you know, in their natural state, because I think they'd be very lovely people.
Yes.
I always thought it'd be nice to meet them. Actress Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, yes. She's gold.
I don't think I'd let her leave.
Yes.
I would be chatting to her. Who else? I always thought an interesting character was Heath Ledger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. And who else? Gosh. Kim Jong-un.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Vladimir Putin. I'd like to eyeball them a little bit and ask them a few questions. I don't know. I guess.
Powerhouses.
Yeah. That's probably random people that would be interesting to chat to.
I think it's one of those things that, like, you would never think that you were going to meet Tom Cruise.
Never.
But you just never know your life, do you? Now, you were saying you weren't particularly into songs one way or the other, but if you could choose one song every time you walked into a room, what would you play?
A song that I've always loved, and it's quite very old school, but I just, Take On Me.
Take On Me.
You know that song?
So iconic.
That's just such an anthem, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, probably that.
I love that. We saw Aha.
Oh, did you?
At A Day on the Green. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
And they started with that song, which is usually the last song.
Yeah.
So, there's other ones, but that's.
I love that song.
Excellent musically. They were awesome.
Yep.
Take On Me. Oh, now this one, Mandy, signature dish to cook. Oh.
Well, like I said, I did marry a chef for a reason, but look, I can cook and I can cook well. Don't laugh, people. My signature
Paul's like,
dish.
Here she goes.
Look, I do a great. I'm very good at stir fries. Stir fries are I would say my probably signature dish. Everyone's rolling their eyes at home. Yes, Mum, we know. That's
the real cook.
Yeah.
Here's Mum pretending with cooking.
Yeah. Here's my we need to eat. So, all right. What are we having?
Toaster.
Scrambled eggs. Everyone. Eggs on toast.
Jack will make us out. Look, Mum's making dinner.
I'm good at pastas. I'm good at stir fries. Paul is the roast king, so I will give him that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Look, Nothing too
Well,
dramatic.
I think it's really important to keep allowing him to keep his skills
I
up.
don't want to outshine him, let's be honest.
You know, you don't want the skills to go down. You just want to keep the skills up.
I want to keep him on his toes. That's right.
You know, he's learned that skill.
Yes.
And career. So, I think, never say never. That's awesome. I think, as a kid, looking at careers and things, but when someone you meet is a chef and you realise as an adult how important knowing what to cook and how to cook it every single day, when you're the kid that just goes to the table and eats, too easy. But when you're the person, that's a really enviable thing
it is,
to
but
have.
I'm like, well, when I go, what are we going to have for dinner today? I just think of like the 5 things that I'm good at. So if it was just me and the kids, we'd be eating pretty plain. Whereas, Paul will just throw this stuff together. I'm like, oh, what is this? And he goes, it doesn't have a name. And he'll just figure it out. And, herbs and spices and sauces and it always tastes so good.
So when people come to your house for dinner, gosh, it's
they
just
love
so
it.
exciting.
Yeah, they go, if we invite people over, well, they know I'm not cooking. Everyone's laughing right now. I know you're all laughing. Paul like I said, but he loves entertaining. So when you've got that passion and it's a joy, not a chore.
Yeah, for sure.
It comes easy to him.
Absolutely.
So, he has the prep done, an hour before anyone arrives. So he'll come in and get the wine glasses out. So it's always a great
oh my goodness.
You know what I mean? Like, and then so he'll cook it, or he'll have the smoke, we've got a smoker out the back, so he's smoking meats and he'll have the barbecue going and he'll be flipping a Scotch fillet and there's me inside throwing up the stir.
You're there going, can I do anything?
Yeah. No, well, I do the washer.
You're the kitchen hand.
I set the table. I am the hostess with the mostess.
Awesome.
And he's taking care of all the food. But
has either of the kids picked up the chefness of Paul?
Chelsea loves to bake.
Okay, yeah.
Not so much cook.
Okay.
She loves her baking. Yeah. Or hasn't done it a lot in the last year, but I guess she's busy with school.
Yeah.
But of the two, Chelsea's definitely the McLean side of the family. Okay. Nathan is the Crone side.
Yeah.
In their nature, everything about them, they're, I mean, they have traits of both of us, but yeah, Chelsea, I guess, would be the most that I would say would be the cook.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Is anyone like Auntie Nadine then? Nathan shaping up to be Auntie Nadine?
No,
no characteristics coming through.
Dylan's Auntie Nadine.
Broke the mold with that. She had her own.
She had her own. Karma.
Oh, dear. No, it's a bugger, isn't it?
Yeah. No. She's, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good. So thinking about your favourite fictional character, if you could swap lives with any fictional character for a day, who would it be?
Fictional character.
It's a hard one.
It is a hard one. Fictional, okay. I'd like to be Lara Croft.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The feminist in me.
Yeah.
Who needs a man, when you've got her on your side? I think
Absolutely.
It would be fun to have been her, have that great physique, be tough. Everything about her is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess that.
She's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. My next one, I don't know about your sure-footedness or otherwise, but as I've injured myself just so many times over the years, every day, every week, I'm always curious about other people's injuries. Can you tell us about a time when you've accidentally injured yourself?
I've only ever broken 2 small bones in my body.
Okay.
So breaking bones is not really a great injury. I broke my finger playing netball one time when I was a teenager. Only last year I broke a bone in my foot, just tripping over something. So I was in a moon boot for 8 weeks last year. That was horrendous. But, yeah, as far as injuries, when I was in prep, the teacher must have let us out early or something, and I ran to I got up off the floor. We were sitting there, ran to get up off the floor, and I hit my head somewhere here just in the middle of my forehead on the corner of a desk with the sharp corners of a desk as I was leaving. But because the teacher had said, it was like 2 minutes before the 3:30 bell, you can go early. So I banged my head, and I remember at the time, so I'm 6 years old, five or six, maybe 6, and I remember literally hitting my head, and I thought, I'm still getting out early. Anyway, so I grabbed my bag and I'm running through the school grounds to the front gate where the parents are. And when I got to the front, my mum's there waiting with her mum friends or whatever, and she looked at me and she was like, screaming. I had blood pouring down my face. I
Shivers.
cut open my head.
Shivers.
Anyway, stitches and that. So, I mean, as far as injuries, that's probably the worst injury
ripper.
I've had. But, yeah, I've had...
Heads bleed.
Oh,
they
and
really
I
do.
was literally dripping off my chin. But I was like, I got out first. I've also had double pneumonia.
Oh.
Yeah, so in between Chelsea and Nathan, in that short period between having two kids, we had the cafe at the time and I just couldn't breathe. So it was a very long story, but
shivers.
I ended up in the infectious diseases ward at Monash. I was even Paul said to my mum, like I was very, very ill, and I had it in both lungs, so double pneumonia, and I was in that ward for 10 days. 9 of those days I don't remember. I was unconscious.
Mandy.
Yeah, really bad. Lost 11 kilos in that time. Wish I could do that now.
Jeez.
Yeah, and so, but Paul said, my mum even, we were only talking about it this week, Mum said to me that she passed Paul in the hallway because we had Chelsea baby at that time.
Oh, my God.
And so they swapped kids in the hallways. Mum was coming to visit, he was leaving, and he said he burst into tears, or Mum said he burst into tears and said, I don't know that she's going to make it. That's how ill I was. But, came back to haunt him.
Yeah, that's right.
Here I am.
He's like, I can do one better.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
So that was, but as far as, it's not an injury, but I guess that's the most unwell I've ever been.
That's severe.
Really, really very, very unwell. And, came through it, thankfully, and lived to tell the tale.
Gee whiz, that's a doozy.
Mm.
Ooh, if you could do things differently, what career would you choose?
Oh, I reckon if I could do things differently now, I would have become a travel agent.
Oh, staff discount.
Staff discount, freebies. I'll try out all the resorts.
Yeah.
Travel agent. I've always wanted to be a travel agent. I've always thought real estate would have been good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still time.
Yeah, well, no.
Oh, and happy 50th to you.
Thank you.
Yes, this is the birth. I forgot to mention that.
This is the birthday that keeps on giving, isn't it?
This is the birthday one. So, yes, you've had some awesome celebrations for your birthday.
Yeah,
What didn't you do?
Well, what I didn't do was have a party.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't want to have a party because I'm really not a big drinker.
Yeah.
I used to be, but I'm not anymore.
Yeah. Thanks, Nadine.
Yeah, thanks, Nad. You turned me off back when I was 11. So because I chose, and the family's like, you got to have a party, And Nadine had a party for hers, and she's like, we got to have a party. And I'm like, no, I'm not having a party. So I chose to catch up with my, individual groups of friends individually. And it literally turned into virtually a month of just a dinner here or a night away
That's
here.
That's perfect.
This weekend coming, I'm going over with Hilly and Shane.
Yes,
because
beautiful.
Hilly's about to turn 52. So, I had many mini celebrations, and it was just beautiful. I got so many gorgeous, beautiful friends around me, and it was lovely.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh, now this is an interesting one, and everyone goes in different directions with this one.
Yeah. But
the hall pass. If Paulie said, "All right, Mandy, you have a night away from me," who would it be?
Well, there's several.
Oh, there's a list. Oh my God, is that a long piece of paper I can see?
No.
My gosh!
Honestly, if I had a hall pass,
oh Jesus, get ready, everyone.
The first person I'd choose, and this is probably a little bit left of centre, but I would like to meet Roger Federer.
Okay.
He's all class.
Is it the cardigan?
I don't know if the cardigan would be on, but possibly.
just the cardigan. Roger Federer.
Roger Federer is always,
intrigued.
The thinking person's man. I don't know. I've always liked Roger Federer, but I wouldn't say no to Channing Tatum either. Who else? Wentworth Miller.
Oh, yes.
Who else have I got?
Is that the supernatural guy? No.
No, he's out of Prison Break.
Yes.
And last on my list.
He was big back in the day in Prison Break. Oh, yeah.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah.
And Robert Pattinson. Mm-hmm.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Not a Taylor Lautner. No, you're a Robert Pattinson.
No.
Oh. Did you read the books?
No, I watched the movies.
Yeah.
Watched the movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's a bit of a cutie.
Oh, Robert Pattinson.
Sorry, Paul.
He's coming out for what's he coming out in soon?
Robert Pattinson?
Yeah. Is he the new something? Oh, no, I can't remember. Where it's like,
I know he's had a baby recently.
Really strange. It was a really strange choice. I can't remember what it is now.
He's always kind of done left of centre stuff since Twilight. He's always done the alternative type of stuff. But yeah, I always found him to be kind of,
Oh, shout out to all of them.
Geez,
Didn't expect there to be so many. Sorry, Paul. She's
I love you,
got
Paul.
other plans.
Sorry, Paul. Well, you did ask.
You're cooking. That's true. Oh, my goodness. What's your most proud? What are you most proudest of in your life? Drinking at the age of 11.
Yeah, drinking at the age of 11. Throwing back some shots. Sorry, Mum.
Just a lazy Sunday afternoon at the Crones.
Well, obviously my kids, you know, they're everything to me, as is my husband. But you know, that's a given, I guess. But you know, most proud of, I've always worked hard. Yeah. Never taken from anyone. Like always worked for myself. So Paul and I, you know, work really hard, and I guess I got that trait from my father. Just being a hard worker, still works to this day. Yeah. You know, just never taking life for granted either. All my friends, I'm so grateful for everyone around me. I've had a good life. No real, you know, touch wood, no real trauma or anything that, you know, shapes you like that. So I'm very, very blessed from that perspective. But yeah, just working hard, always being positive, trying to find the good in everything, and yeah.
I love it. That's so good. And anything you regret?
No, I don't think so. It's a silly thing. My first house, I nearly paid it off, and then I met Paul, fell in love, and we moved. And I just had such a small mortgage on that place. I wish I'd just stayed there and paid it off. Yeah. Because, you know, here we are.
Just to get that last bit done.
Well, just that last little bit. But, you know, we're in love and we're going to Rowville and off we go. So, yeah, I regret not hanging on to that house. But, you know.
Well, that's awesome.
But that's very minimal.
Oh, my gosh, you've survived this, Mandy.
Thank you.
Oh, my God, I've loved these stories. Oh. There's so many. I love the Hawaii with Nadine. God, fly on the wall for that. That trip
that was
there.
a great trip. Oof. That was a great trip.
Yeah, be out in that balcony. Oh, she's good value, Miss Nadine. She's good value. Oh, my gosh. Thank you for joining me today, Mandy. And shout out to everyone. There's so many shout-outs.
So many shout-outs.
Show. We've got Tom Cruise, but oh, my gosh, it's full of celebs, this one.
And Hugh Jackman.
And Hugh Jackman as well.
Yeah, I met Hughie.
Did you?
Yes.
Where was that? What?
Well, he's a friend of the family, kind of. Oh. So my mum's best friend, Auntie Faye, you might even remember us talking about Auntie Faye.
Yes, I do.
So Auntie Faye's daughter is Deborah Lee.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
shout out to Hugh Jackman.
So shout out to Hughie and
Deb. Look at that name dropping every 5 seconds.
Yeah, so I spent a few Christmas Eves with Hughie back in the, I don't know, 20-odd years ago.
As you do.
Years. Went to their wedding.
Just slips that in at the last knock of the door here. Oh, by the way.
May as well, you know, it's just the story of my life. I may as well.
Do you have any contact now?
No, well, we kind of knew through Auntie Faye, Deb's side of the family, so Mum is still in contact with Deb, not so much Hugh. But
any goss on the separation? No. No. Gee, we should know. No use to me.
So, yeah. Chelsea used to get the hand-me-downs from their daughter Ava, so we got a lot of Ava's clothes.
Oh, shout out to Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, Hughie. Thank you.
God. Oh, you kept that hidden from me.
Oh, sorry. Might as well throw it in at the end.
Anything else,
Record of my life. Tom Cruise, Hugh Jackman. What else do I need?
Oh, my gosh, I didn't know I was featuring such a celebrity today. Oh, mate. Anyway, thank you so much, and I can't wait to upload this bad boy, as I do say at the end. Thank you. See ya.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you to Mandy for so many laughs in today's episode. From her stories about her celeb encounters to her hilarious hijinks she got up to with her sister Nadine. I'm sure, along with myself, you're inspired by her chef husband, Paul. He has many fans now. Such a long list of celebs Mandy has encountered in her life. Lastly, a shout out to Mandy's list of Hall Pass inductees, from Roger Federer to Channing Tatum to Wentworth Miller and Robert Pattinson. What a list. Tune in to our next episode where we get to hear more lives worth telling. Don't forget to check out and follow us on your socials. And if you love what you hear, please rate and review us on your favourite podcast app. Of course, if you have any questions, you can get in touch with us through the Facebook page or Instagram. If you or a friend or a family member would like to come on the show, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. And if you want to grab yourself some merch, jump onto Redbubble to check out our products. Thanks for listening to Lives Worth Telling. See you next time.